Josh, Anthony, welcome to the summit. Thanks for joining us. How you guys doing?
Real good,
Doing
man.
good.
What about you, Anthony? How did you get started? A little bit about your real estate journey and why did you choose to go all in on video?
Yeah, I actually wanted to get into real estate investing and buy more properties after I bought my first house. And so found being a real estate agent, could be a good way of making some income fast. So over the last 5 years, that was 5 years ago, built a small team. We did 125 transactions last year. That's with a couple admin staff and a couple buyers agents. Beginning of this year, I started a brokerage and we brought on a few more agents. So things are just rolling right along. And I suspect more and more growth now, especially since we've doubled our amount of salespeople. We started doing the video stuff primarily because I saw a dependency on online leads, like from Zillow and these other outside sources. And so once that was like, a third of our business or more, I was like, well, what if that went away? That would hurt a little bit. So I had to find something that we could replace that with, that where we were our own Zillow. So we started making these videos, putting them on YouTube. It took a good 6 months before it really started to gain traction. But now if you type in Roseburg, Oregon on YouTube, we're at least 5 of the first 10 results. And, we have a lot of the same results on Google as well by embedding those videos on our Carrot website, doing the blogs, doing the location pages, all with high ranking YouTube videos. And they just seem to feed off of each other and continue to generate leads off content that I did, at this point, 2 years ago, even.
Yeah, and that's key. I'm glad that you said that, it took about 6 months to gain momentum. It's not, if you're going all in on SEO, organic leads, and video marketing, specifically with YouTube, it's more of a long-term strategy, and it's something that it's a little bit harder to track versus other lead sources. And so
Yeah.
it's something you kind of just need to go all in on for a long time. I would say 6 months at a minimum
Yeah.
or a year, and just say, heck, I'm going to try this. It's going to be uncomfortable at the start. I'm going to go all in and we'll reevaluate and see if it worked. Um, that's awesome, man. How long ago did you, Anthony, how long ago did you hire your videographer?
That will be 2 years in April. So just about 2 years.
And what did you guys start out like when you said, okay, like you recognize there's this need for online leads, and within that you recognize the trend with video. What were some of the first videos you started making?
Well, it all started with listing videos. And really, I thought there was just going to be a lot of listing videos, but then COVID happened and listings really dried up and, market kind of shifted a little bit. But our best performing ones that we did early on were like our five best neighborhoods in Roseburg. I mean, if you type in that on, just best neighborhoods in Roseburg, we're the first natural organic result on that. And pros and cons, that one still, I mean, those are ones that get 10, 20, 30 plus views every day still to this day.
Hmm. So this is, I want agents and investors to pick up on this, because if you are in a smaller market, this is seriously low hanging fruit. Because in bigger cities, like if you were in Portland or maybe Nashville, for example, you might have other agents in your area already doing these strategies. Even then, still you can still rank for some of these terms. But Anthony, for a while you were showing up for like just the term Roseburg, Oregon. I think you were
Yeah.
number one for
Uh,
Roseburg, Oregon, like above
I
the
know
city's website.
we were on the front page. That's for sure.
If you do some research on Anthony Beckham and Roseburg, you'll kind of get a feel for the type of content he's putting out and how he's able to rank for some of these terms. One thing I want to dive into as we get in this conversation is some of the best use cases for a video, starting off with like the no-brainer. I mean, because it's easy to say like, oh, you just got to go do content. Like you just got to start making videos, and people can hear that and implement it different ways. They might mean that get on Instagram stories and just start posting 10 times a day, or they might do long drawn out videos. And so we'll start with you, Anthony, and then Josh, I want to hear from you. What you're seeing as like the best ROI for your time as far as making videos, because it can be overwhelming for people.
The best stuff is going to be the local information that they can't get elsewhere. So, you're not going to have, I mean, as far as the best neighborhoods, I just made a video, reasons not to move here, that'll be published here in the next hour. So it's information that they can't get elsewhere from a local perspective. And those are the ones that do the best. I've done videos like about, let's say, like different financing programs and stuff like that. People don't really care about the general information as much because you could get that from anybody. I've also done things where like we highlight local businesses and things like that. I mean, they can do all right, but they don't do nearly as well as just the information based. Being the local guide to your city has been the absolute best performing videos that generate leads. And if you are in a high relocation area, or say you have like a military base, or something like that in your town, something that, creates that online traffic that people are searching your town, should I move here? For me, being in Southern Oregon, a lot of times that's people from California, but I also have them coming from the more metro areas up north, like Portland or Seattle. And a lot of times they're just following us for 6, 12 plus months, soaking up all this information. And those are the absolute easiest leads to convert because they've already spent, at this point you could spend hours with me online just watching all my informational videos without us ever meeting. So that ends up creating a very warm lead and a very easy conversion.
I would imagine they're more educated too, and there's a much they're warmer, and there's a higher level of trust because they feel like they know you. They've seen your videos,
and so far they've tended to be higher end as well.
Okay. And so these videos like top neighborhoods in Roseburg, Oregon, or what to look for when moving to Roseburg, Oregon, are you finding you're getting more buyer leads or seller leads or both with these?
It's primarily buyer leads, and it's
Mostly
primarily people moving here from out of area. Because you're not going to have a lot of people that live in Roseburg. I haven't cracked the code for the listing generate. I did pretty well with 5 things you can do to increase your home's value before listing. That one did pretty well, but it's where we're getting the abundance of leads are these people moving from out of area that are using our channel as a place to get local information.
That's awesome. So takeaway from that is be the local expert more than information. The informational videos are still useful as different use cases and maybe different areas in your website, but focus on being the local expert. And Anthony, you and I have talked about that at times in the past too. You've been like, well, this video has a few thousand views, but have you had any videos where it's like they've gotten 50 views, 100 views, but you still see that as valuable?
Oh yeah.
And you still make those videos?
It all adds to the library. Because that's essentially what it is at this point. Someone can get on my channel and learn all there is to learn about town.
Something I want to point out, because I'm sorry, I wanted to point this out because we're talking about Anthony's YouTube channel. I just kind of skimmed through it before we even hopped on the stream here. And something I want to completely applaud him for is like exactly what you said. The first video that one of the first videos I see here is like the frozen yogurt, like things to do in Roseburg. Well, somebody might look at that and say, how is that going to bring you a lead, Anthony? Well, it's not necessarily like marketing is so tricky because it's all about being at the right place at the right time. So maybe you show them the video of the yogurt shop and that person maybe just a week later happens to decide I want to put my house on the market or I want to buy a house. And then they remember, oh wait, that dude that showed me the yogurt shop on YouTube, maybe I'll contact him because I actually went to the yogurt shop and I liked it. And so it's all the steps. And that's called curation. And so he's doing that for the longer play, but people don't want to hang out for the long term. They want like the instant success. The reason why he's successful at what he does is because he's going for that longer play. So that's something I want to point out too. That's very, very important.
And we have 400 subscribers on our channel. So that's not a lot, when looking at other YouTube channels. But when you think we're in a metric. Yes, exactly. We're in a 25,000 population town. There are some videos that have 8,000 views on. That's 1 in 3 people in town. However you want to look at it. It's worth doing. Exactly. It's crazy how much we started to get recognized just when we were out and about. And even though I can only track about 25% of our closings right now coming from the actual video content, not only has that continued to grow, month over month, but a lot of times we'll get to a closing, they came through Zillow or something and they're talking about how much they love our videos. And I'm like, oh, you watch our videos too? Or it's another way that we're staying in front of past clients and everything too. Or like I just ran into my inspector the other day and he had mentioned, you're a marketing genius. I love those videos. I'm like, oh, you watch them? Like you don't know who who's watching them.
And
Absolutely.
it might not even necessarily been the lead source, but it could have, I mean, it could be a lead source in a lot of cases for you, but it also could be the thing that separated you from the next agent or investor in town, where they said, you know what, I feel like I know this guy, I want to work with him. And not everybody wants to watch a video. Some person might rather skim the notes of the video. And so it's still valuable content.
And you're wasting that video if you're not doing that. I mean, to be
Yeah.
honest, I mean, we've been primarily talking about YouTube, but we take those YouTube videos and put them on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, because why not? You already went out there and created the content, put it everywhere, and, you know, think a little bit about that distribution, because that's just, you're leaving breadcrumbs. I mean, that's all you're doing. You're leaving breadcrumbs out there for leads to come find you.
A lot of this is really low hanging fruit, and especially if you're in smaller markets. I mean, Anthony, you and I were here, Carrot HQ in Roseburg, Oregon, in a town of 20 to 30-ish thousand people. And I don't see anyone else putting the amount of energy that you're putting into it. Yeah, it's a huge opportunity.
And there's a couple of ways you can do it. I mean, you can go, like I started with a GoPro and walking around and doing it that way. But really what was the big bottleneck for me is at that time I was already doing 80 to 100 transactions a year. So I just found myself kind of doing a video here, and then a couple months would go by before I do the next one, you know, when you're editing it and everything. So it wasn't really until I hired somebody that could help out with that. And now we have like a video team, you know, and we have a day set aside for that, that we really started to be able to put out content frequently. But the other part of that is by hiring a professional to, you know, hang out with you for the day as you go and tour these different neighborhoods and everything, is the level of quality that we are putting out there. It's going to be super hard for somebody to, you know, with the GoPro or whatever, to duplicate, or they're not going to be able to do anything better unless they go out there and they're spending 2 days and hiring a full crew. I mean, because we're just making such high level content so that it's hard for someone to come in there and outrank it. I probably got more bloopers by the end of the day than I do content that we can use, but you know,
you
it's
kept
just
going.
Part of the,
You kept going is the important thing, right?
Yep, you got to. And as far as the equipment is concerned, I mean, honestly, I think that like some vertical selfie kind of stuff could do just as well. I mean, I've noticed in some of our, you know, like using just like a photo that I took versus like a professional thing, sometimes those actually get more clicks. And I don't know if it's just because someone's scrolling, you know, it looks more like something their friends did rather than, you know, but you're starting to see more and more of that in marketing. You know, it's not the guy standing next to the Lamborghini and the polished shots that are always doing well. A lot of times it's the guy that has the selfie camera, you know. So I don't think that's anything to worry about. And my guy wasn't like some big professional, you know, outfit. I mean, at that time he worked at the airport and he was like just a hobbyist, you know. But he had some skills and we polished those together, and we've added little bits of equipment as we've gone on to make our stuff better and better. It isn't something that you have to go drop 10 grand on all at once. Even to this day, we haven't spent nearly 10 grand, you know, on all this stuff. But, you know, buy a new stabilizer, or, you know, upgrade our audio, or buy in this microphone that I'm talking into, you know, all those things can come with time. Whatever you're recording, like I said, put it on YouTube, put it on Facebook, make sure you're doing it across all platforms. Another thing that we're doing now, and we're even going back through my library of 100 plus videos and turning those into reels and into shorts and into stories, and, you know, taking screenshots from them for Instagram. And just, you know, you start to realize that it all starts with the video. So you go out there and you make the long form, but you can change that long form into Instagram posts and into reels and into short form as well. So you focus on the long form video, and then everything else will follow, you know, just through editing.